guest today. Okay, we got about a minute. I'm going to try to get started. We love it that you talk to each other, but we got to get started today. All right, howdy, Yanks. Love it that you talk to each other, but we got to get started today. It's a great honor for me to have Brian Patillo with us again today. He is the managing director for Goosehead. And if you haven't heard Goosehead, you want to listen carefully today, because one of the things he'll tell you somewhere along the line is why in the world is our company named Goosehead. So he has some fascinating things. Now, remember, we hope some of you, we've already had one student come up and meet Brian and say, hey, I'm really interested. We hope some of you will be interested. They hire 3 or 4 every semester, so this is a real opportunity for you. But it's not really about insurance, okay? In fact, he's going to take a little sachet into a customer relationship management, a CRM system. We will touch on this just a minute when we get to chapter 4 about finding and how you recruit new people into your industry, into your business. We'll talk about that in a little bit. He's going to give you an idea of what they do. I think it's really going to be powerful. So, kind of transfer yourself a little bit ahead to chapter 4. And this first part he's going to do, he's going to talk about Goosehead, and as always, he will take questions. And he's very, very knowledgeable. How long have you been with them again? About
11 years.
Yeah, 11 years, 10 years. Okay, so, been there a while since you graduated from A&M. Woo! It's all yours, Brian. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dr. Litz, and it is great to be here. I certainly appreciate you guys having me in, and hopefully we'll be able to share some information that will be helpful today. I am wired right now. I've been up since 4:30 a.m. drinking coffee the entire drive here from Dallas, so I'm excited to be here. But honestly, part of the reason I'm excited is I just love coming back to A&M. I'm an Aggie, as Dr. Litz mentioned, and specifically this program. I think that Cody and Dr. Litz and everyone, they do such a great job helping you all get prepared to launch a great sales career, a great career in any domain that you go into. So it's always really fun just to come back here. I think about people like Ryan Offer and Casey Woodfin and Preston Wood and all these people, Chance most recently, that have been in your seats not too long ago, that have now had these incredible careers at our company. So it's always fun to get to be back here. And I appreciate you guys having me.
The key word there was launch, by the way.
Launch. I like launchers, right?
It's right over there, right underneath that screen.
This? No, not that? Okay, got it. Found it. All right, cool. Really quick, I have to give this legal disclaimer before I speak today that some of you guys may or may not be aware that we are a publicly traded company. In fact, we had an IPO last year. We were the 4th most successful IPO of last year. We've gone up 480% in the last year. So hindsight's 2020. I think a lot of people wish they could go back and invest now. But that being said, this presentation is going to contain some forward-looking statements about where our company is going. If you choose to invest in Goosehead, that should be based on what's publicly available, not based on this presentation. So get that out of the way so no one sues me, and then we'll move on to the fun stuff. So I want to draw a comparison here to kind of set up and give framework to our story. The story is about Netflix and Blockbuster. So you guys remember, probably, or maybe you not remember, you're all a bit younger than I am, but the early days of Netflix, kind of before Netflix was launched, did y'all ever go to Blockbuster? Okay, a few people did. All right, probably when you're very young, go to Blockbuster. So let me tell you just a quick history lesson on Blockbuster. So they were actually started in Dallas, Texas. Anyone from Dallas? One person from Dallas. All right. They were started in Dallas, Texas in 1985. And at the time, they were this really new, innovative business model, right? Their store was blowing up. Everyone loved this idea that I could now rent movies instead of buying them. And so they started opening up another store, another store, another store. And within 20 years, they had over 9,000 locations across the U.S. So you think about just the rapid growth. They were killing it, right? They were growing quickly. They were profitable. They were doing extremely well. But then a customer of Blockbuster, a guy named Reed Hastings in 1997, was driving home from Blockbuster, and he was frustrated with the experience that he had just had at the store. What do you guys think? So there was 3 kind of pain points he had with Blockbuster. Any ideas? What do you think was the frustrations with Blockbuster? What do you think?
It would always take us forever to just find a movie.
Okay.
There's so many there.
So the time, right? So time finding a movie as well as the time getting to and from the store, right? Having to spend 15 minutes driving to the store to find a movie and then come back home and then trying to find a movie at the store. That's kind of one of the pain points. What else?
Maybe poor customer service at the checkout.
Okay. Poor customer service. What else do you think?
They might be out of the movie.
Okay, so inventory issues they may not have. You guys, I don't know if you remember, there used to be walls, like 30 of the same movie, and sometimes they were all sold out back in the day. What else? There's one big one you guys have hit. What's that? Late fees, exactly. So Reed was driving home from Blockbuster, had just gotten a $40 late fee for failing to return Apollo 13 on time. And he started thinking through that there's got to be a better way to do this business, right? He had no background in movie rentals. He was simply a frustrated customer. And started thinking through the business and just started thinking, man, what if we could do this business differently? What if instead of having retail stores, let's just do big warehouses and let's mail DVDs back and forth to people. You guys remember the early on days, right, where you would get a DVD in the mail from Netflix? And then you started thinking, what if instead of charging per rental, let's do a subscription model where people can just pay per month, and then we can rent movies kind of or they can keep the movie as long as they want, and they just don't get the next one until they return the last one. And he started out this model that went on to become Netflix. In fact, in 2004, Netflix actually had a chance to buy Blockbuster for $50 million, and they literally laughed them out of the room. Right? Blockbuster laughed them out of the room, said, "Are you, absolutely no way. We're Blockbuster, right? 9,000 stores, we're the number one. Who's this small startup, and how are they going to possibly disrupt us?" Well, anyone know how the story ends? I think that hopefully y'all do. Right? Blockbuster declared bankruptcy in 2013. They have one store left. Right? So they're holding on strong. One store left in Oregon if you ever want to go. And Netflix is now valued at over $130 billion. Right? So I think that's just the prototypical disruptor story, right? Of a company that comes in that's based out of a frustration with the status quo in the industry. It's founded by an outsider that doesn't have kind of inside experience to the business. And it's all centered around the customer. How can we deliver a better experience to our customers? The reason I start with that is that is fundamentally our story. We were started 15 years ago by Mark and Robin Jones. Mark's actually spoken in this class several times. But Mark and Robin Jones were not insurance people. Mark has his MBA from Harvard, was a longtime partner at Bain & Company. He was a partner at Bain, global head of recruiting for Bain. And his wife, Robin, managed their real estate investment portfolio. So she had a bunch of houses she had invested in and managed all of the aspects of that. And one of the aspects she managed was the insurance policies for all those houses. And she was constantly searching around, trying to find a good insurance agent that had good product options, gave good service, was knowledgeable, professional, etc. And she literally couldn't find anyone. She was shopping around constantly. Every person she met with either gave horrible service, didn't have good pricing, didn't have good coverage. And so she kept asking for recommendations from other people, and it was the same thing everywhere she went. And so Mark and Robin have 6 kids. Their kids were grown up, and Robin decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own insurance agency. And we're going to deliver the kind of experience that I wish I would have gotten as a client, right? So that was what it was based on. It was based on a frustration with the status quo. Now, Mark at the time viewed this initially as kind of a side project for Robin to work on. He was very busy at Bain, had a lot of responsibilities, but he started just doing some due diligence on the industry and why it was so broken. And I don't have time to get into all the details, but basically he saw a couple things about the industry. One, massive market opportunity. It's a $330 billion market in the U.S. And I'm talking about specifically home and auto insurance. That's what we specialize in, home and auto insurance. $330 billion market, highly fragmented. The top 10 competitors own less than 50% of the market share. It's residual economics in a stable industry with very weak competition. So I want to hit on that last point here for a second because I think that's highly relevant. I don't mean to be overly mean when I say this, but when Mark was looking across the landscape of insurance agents, candidly, when you think about the most driven, smartest, hardest working, highest integrity people, you don't think of them as dying to be insurance agents, right? It's just not typically the profile that this industry is attracted. And to be honest, this industry is very void of talent, right? And Mark viewed that as a really good thing because he thought, man, if we could bring people into this business that probably would never be in insurance if it wasn't for Goosehead, then we can do things that have never been done before. And he said, if I'm going to do this, then our goal is not to be a small agency. Our goal is to be number one. Our goal is to be the largest distributor of insurance in the United States. Anyone know who number one is right now? Largest, who do you guys think is the largest distributor of home and auto insurance? I think I heard it. It's a big guess. You guys see commercials all the time. What's that? Progressive's up there. Progressive is one of the top couple, especially on auto insurance. State Farm is number one. State Farm, number one. They do $60 billion a year in sales right now. And so Mark said that was the goal from day one, that our goal is to take down State Farm, to be number one. And at the time, it seemed like a laughable goal. But you fast forward 15 years, we're not number one yet, but we are well on our path to making that happen. In fact, we currently do over $600 million a year in sales, and we're the fastest growing insurance agency in the United States. We are growing at 10 times the rate of our fastest growing peers. Right? We're as profitable as our peers and growing at 10 times the rate. So you ask kind of why is our stock gone from $10 a share to $48 a share? It's based on a rapid growth. And many people believe that we have figured out a model that's going to completely change this industry and that we are on our path to becoming number one, the largest distributor. And so my guess is that this might be a little bit confusing because most of you guys have probably never heard of us before, right? Who's heard of Goosehead prior to this? A couple of you guys. My guess is that the only reason you've heard of us is probably through college campus stuff, right? I could be wrong, but you've certainly never seen a Goosehead commercial, on TV because we don't do any advertising at all. And really, that's what I want to hit on a little bit, is I want to talk about our marketing approach and our sales approach because it's very different than what's typically done in this business, and that's a huge part of our rapid growth that we've experienced. And hopefully we'll be able to share a couple sales lessons in here that you guys can take with you to any sales career that you might pursue. And so, if you think about how most people go about acquiring new clients in this business, it's 100% based on advertising. Okay? Think about how often do you guys see TV commercials, right? For Geico, Allstate, Farmers, Nationwide, State Farm. In fact, most of these companies are spending over $1 billion a year on advertising, right? Okay? So the cost of client acquisition in the insurance world is over $1,000 per client. That you guys spend over $1,000 in advertising to bring on one new client. And that is really expensive, right? Especially if you're a small startup that doesn't have a lot of cash, how are you going to compete with that, right? How are you going to try to compete with billion-dollar ad budgets? You're going to be losing a lot of money in order to bring on new clients. And so we had to figure out a smarter approach to marketing in this business. We couldn't go about with the same playbook that our competitors did. If we did that, we'd be out of business because we don't have enough cash flow to fund that kind of advertising. Okay? So you think about, I want to throw out a term to you guys called growth hacker marketing. Okay, growth hacker marketing. There's a book by Ryan Holiday where he talks about this term, growth hacker marketing. And he talks about, if you think about a lot of the companies that have rapidly grown over the last 2 decades, companies like Uber, like Netflix, like Facebook and LinkedIn and all these companies, how much advertising do these companies do? Very little, right? Little to none. When Uber was starting, they didn't do any advertising, right? They grew through word of mouth and through adding fuel to the fire, through giving things like free rides if you tell a friend about it, right? And so there's a lot of companies that are kind of throwing away the old marketing playbook and figuring out new ways to go about kind of hacking the growth of your system. And I think that's exactly what we've done. And so you think about kind of marketing 101. Has anyone taken an intro to marketing class? Intro to marketing. So I'll give you a quick summary of intro to marketing. All right? Here's the summary. Anytime you're trying to market a product, the first thing you got to do is define your target market. Say, hey, based on these demographics, these psychographics, here's the people we're trying to target. Step 2 is you've got to research your target market through surveys, focus groups, interviews. You've got to understand how do they think, how do they buy, what's important to them. 3, you've got to design your product or service around solving their problems. And then 4th, you've got to find the right channel or right medium to kind of reach them with your story, with who you are and how you're going to help them. So let's talk about what does this look like for us. So our target market is people who are buying houses. Okay, people who are buying houses. Why do you guys think we picked that for our target market? Why do you think we focus on people buying homes versus maybe people buying cars that own existing homes? Why do you think that's our target? Guesses? Yeah.
That way you can get them on new insurance for their house because they'll probably have to get a new one. depending on what house they buy.
Okay.
And then you probably bundle it with their auto.
Bingo, man. That's right on. There's multiple points on that. When they're buying a house, they have to make an insurance decision. You're required by the mortgage company to carry insurance. So they're right at that inflection point where you can get them in. And exactly what you said. If you own a home, you most likely own a car as well. So we can bring in one new client and sell them multiple lines of business right at that point. It's also has very high retention rates. Home insurance usually you pay as part of your monthly mortgage payment. So people stick with home insurance for years and years and years, which is great as an agent because you're getting paid on that business over and over and over. Okay? So step 2 is research your target market. So we went and asked thousands of people who bought homes recently, hey, when you were deciding who your home insurance is going to be with, how did you make that decision? Like, how did you decide who to shop with? What do you guys think? We found out that over 90% of people do this the same way. What do you guys think maybe that was? How do you think people picked who they're going to shop their home insurance with initially when they're buying a house? Yeah?
Word of mouth.
Okay. So word of mouth from who, do you think?
Their friends.
Okay, so asking friends and family. We thought that maybe was the answer, but that was not the answer. Good guess, though. Yeah.
Convenience.
So how do they decide who's most convenient, right? So they have all these choices. How are they going to go about, who am I going to get quotes with? Who am I going to shop with? The convenience is a factor.
Whoever tells them, really, because...
Okay. More word of mouth, whoever tells them. What do you think?
It would be like word of mouth from the realtor who they buy from.
Bingo, exactly. That's what we found, is that we didn't know if it was ask your parents, who is my car insurance with, go online and search for insurance. We thought maybe those were some of the factors, but you're exactly right. What we found is that the way almost everyone makes this decision is based on the recommendation of a realtor and or a loan officer in the process. The realtor helps them pick the house. The loan officer is the one that gets them the mortgage set up, right? So as soon as we discovered that, we kind of went back to step 1 and said, maybe our target market isn't really the end customer. Maybe our target market is the loan officer and the realtor, as they're the ones that are driving this purchase decision, okay? And so then step 2, research. We found out there are 976,000 loan officers in the United States. Almost every one of them has a go-to insurance agent they refer out. And we found out that most of them are unhappy with their current insurance agents, mainly because of slow response times. Loan officers need paperwork to get a home closed. Most insurance agents take 2 or 3 days to get that back to them. We can get it back in under an hour. Okay? So we found out there's a huge pain point that these loan officers have dealing with insurance agents. And so step 4 is we said, what's the right way to reach them with our story? And so for that part, we decided to kind of take a page out of the pharmaceutical sales world. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with what pharmaceutical sales reps do, but what a drug rep does, more what it used to do, it's changed a little bit, but is that you're walking into doctor's offices, you're building relationships with the receptionist, the gatekeeper, to try to get an audience with the doctor. Once you get an audience with the doctor, you're bringing them their favorite Starbucks or breakfast tacos or whatever they like, and you're trying to educate the doctor about your drug, and you're trying to persuade that doctor to start recommending their drug to their patients, or your drug to their patients. And then you're going to follow up on a weekly basis to try to drive sales for that drug. Okay? And so we just said, what if we just do the exact same thing? We hire really talented salespeople to walk into these mortgage offices, build a relationship with the receptionist, the gatekeeper, to get an audience with the loan officer, educate the loan officer about Goosehead and how we're different, and then persuade that loan officer to start recommending us instead of who they work with currently. Okay? So this is about 10 years ago that we started this approach. You fast forward to today, we currently have over 7,000 loan officers that are referring us out on a monthly basis, and we're bringing on 700 new ones a month right now. So 700 new loan officers are referring us out for the first time every single month. And so the process works really well. How much did I mention? What was the average cost of client acquisition in this business? Over $1,000. Ours is under 50. Ours is under 50 per client because we don't pay for leads. Every bit of marketing we spend goes to Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, and whatever else, right? It's bringing in into these loan officers. We don't actually pay for advertising at all. Okay. So what I want to do, this is a sales class, right? So what I want to do is I want to briefly kind of put you in the shoes of a brand new Goosehead account executive. And I want to walk you through this exact sales process and help you understand how you go about making this sale. Okay? That way you can kind of just picture kind of what is a typical sales approach like. All right? So the very first thing that you're going to do is when you're a brand new, so our first month is training. You're going to learn all about our product, our systems, our value, etc. And then what you're going to do as part of your training month is you're going to put together your list of prospects that you're going to start calling. Okay? So you're going to pick 20 people off the bat. Now you have 20 loan officers that you're going to start targeting. Now I want to talk about how do you put together this list of 20. So what we first always recommend is if you know anyone who owns a home, ask them who is their loan officer and realtor, because they might be able to give you a warm connection, right? Connect you with a loan officer and realtor, and that's going to be a good place to start. The next thing you're going to do, though, is you're going to use our CRM, which is salesforce.com, to put together the rest of your list. Okay? So I'm actually going to demo this here for you guys so you can kind of understand what this process looks like. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System. So we have built out a really incredible CRM that's been a game changer for our ability to do this successfully. So let me actually real quick paint a picture of what life was like prior to June of last year. Okay? So for my demo here, I've been doing a demo. I was talking to an agent this week. I can't spell Google apparently. There, I'm at Google already. Awesome. I was talking to an agent this week that is launching their agency in Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay, Knoxville, Tennessee. So back until June of last year, if I was a Goosehead agent, here was my process. I would go to Google. I would search Knoxville, Tennessee loan officers. Okay? This is how a lot of salespeople do it, right? Go to Google, search Knoxville, Tennessee loan officers. You see the first person that pops up here is Chris Lawson. So there's Chris, there's his address, and there's his phone number. So up until June of last year, I would have then put Chris on my list of prospects. And I would have said, okay, I'm going to go start pursuing Chris, and I'm going to try to get to know Chris and try to convince him to start referring me instead of who he works with currently. Here's the problem with that approach. I mentioned earlier, there are 975,000 loan officers in the U.S. Only 101,000 of them have closed on more than 12 loans in the last 12 months. Okay? So a very small majority of loan officers are doing all the business. Really, 1 out of 10 is doing all the business. And so doing this, I have no idea if Chris is actually doing any business, if he's doing business in Tennessee where I'm licensed. I also don't know if he's already working with a Goosehead agent or not. Okay? So that was our life that we lived in, and what we had to do is we just had to do lots of hitting the streets, pounding the pavement, trying to go into different offices until we found the right people to call on. But we released a technology last year that has been completely revolutionary to our business that I want to demo here for you guys. And quick spoiler alert, if anyone wants to look up Chris on LinkedIn, he got out of mortgages in 2017. He's doing stonework now. So, dead serious, look him up. He's just hasn't updated his Google profile, so it's a perfect example of where I would have wasted my time calling on the wrong types of people. Instead of doing that, now I'm going to go to Salesforce. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on New Referral Partner Search, which is basically saying, show me our top referral partners. I'm going to click Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm going to choose Find New Referral Partners. So now it's going to basically be looking at this database that we have. So we have built a database that we now have the name and address of every single loan officer in the United States. We have the data for every home transaction in the United States, and we have it corresponding to the right loan officer, so that at the click of a button, I can see who the top producing loan officers are in the U.S. Okay? So Eileen Ball at the top of this list is the #1 producing loan officer in Knoxville. There's 361 loan officers in Knoxville. Eileen is #1. She's closed on 192 loans in the last 12 months. However, this column is really important right here too. Only 5% of her business is actually done in Tennessee. Okay? So if I'm a Tennessee agent, I can't really help her, right? Because I'm not licensed where she's doing her business, all right? So if I scroll down the list here, I can see that Parker Borofsky is the #1 producing loan officer that's doing business, but actually doing business in Tennessee, okay? So I can open up her contact file. I'll see her headshot, her email, her phone number, and I can now see all of her loan transactions. So I can see most recently, James Barker bought 3040 Amanda Jane Way in Cedarville, Tennessee. It was a refinance. Brian Smith bought 1235 Honeysuckle Lane for $242,000. It was a resale. It was a conventional mortgage. So I have every bit of data on every single deal that this loan officer is closing on. So that I now can spend my time as an agent only prospecting to the right types of people that are doing business at a high volume, doing business in Tennessee, And I now have this incredible data at my fingertips to know how to customize my pitch for Parker on why she should send us business. Does that make sense? Cool. So to put in perspective how revolutionary this technology has been for us, April of last year, as an organization, we brought on 330 new loan officers across the organization. April of this year, we brought on 830. So it's 250% year-over-year growth, strictly based on this technology and how that's allowed us to be more successful in this process than anyone else is. Okay? So let's talk about next steps in this process. So you're, again, in sales right now. If you see Parker Borowski's on your list and you want to go start pursuing Parker, what do you think will be the next step in the process? Would you just pick up the phone and give Parker a call? You know, what would you do next year? What do you think would be the next step to get Parker to send you business? What do you guys think?
Research what she likes to do, maybe.
Okay, exactly right, man. You got the answers today. I like it. Exactly right. So the internet is your best friend, all right? So that's exactly what I do is I would research Parker Borowski and find out as much as I can about her before I give her a call. All right, so Parker Borowski. I can't spell it today. All right, so we're going to look her up. There we go. So right here online, I have all this data about her, right? I can click on About Me, and I can see tons of data I want to. I can look at her LinkedIn and see how long has she been there. I'm going to research online to find out as much as I can about Parker before I give her a call. Right? Think about if I was doing this in College Station and I see that Parker went to A&M. Right? You think that'd be a relevant data piece to know? Right? Before I give her a call. We were doing this in Arkansas the other day, and we looked up a loan officer that was a Kappa Sig at the University of Arkansas. And one of the guys in the class was a Kappa Sig and talked about using that as part of his in to go connect with the loan officer. But you want to use your internet and do research before just walking into the shop. Okay? But the next step in there is you're going to pick up the phone and give Parker a call. All right? Pick up the phone and give her a call. I think that if you want to be a successful salesperson, the phone is a lost art in the world of sales. And I'm telling you as someone that gets sold to on a daily basis. People sell me all the time on different solutions they're trying to sell me on. I probably get 100 emails a day of people trying to sell me things. I probably get maybe one phone call a week at most, maybe once a month of people trying to sell me. And so tons of people, they try to take the easy route, in my opinion, where they just shoot emails off and try to do that. That is not nearly as effective as picking up the phone and giving someone an actual call. Okay? So I would give Parker a call and introduce myself, right? Introduce myself and say, hey, Parker, my name is Brian Patillo with Goosehead Insurance. How are you? You know, and we'll get going, get kind of a conversation going. And then hopefully I'm going to try to get an appointment where I can come by Parker's office and have a conversation with her about the opportunities to do business together. Okay? Now, I'll tell you, I want to give you maybe a couple keys to success on that first visit. I got to speed up here for the sake of time. But I want to talk about just a couple things that I think are really important to keep in mind on kind of keys to success in that first visit. Let's go here. Well, let me go back. Sorry. These slides are out of order. All right, keys to first prospecting visit. So the very first time that you go see Parker, there's some things I think that you should keep in mind. And I think that these things are relevant regardless of this sale or any sale you're going about trying to make. Okay? The very first thing is that when you go into Parker's office, you want to be confident. And I think that you're confident because you're well prepared. Okay, you want to be confident through being well prepared. I'll give you a quick story that's not related to this. But a couple weeks ago, I was called to our CEO's office, Mark Jones, and he said, hey, we're going up to New York and Toronto in a couple weeks, and we want you to come with us. You're going to go present to some investors of hedge funds that manage hundreds of billions of dollars. And they're considering investing in Goosehead, and we want you to give a presentation on our technology and talk about our marketing activity. And Mark didn't say this exactly, but he basically said, by the way, your ability to perform well in this could make or lose our company hundreds of millions of dollars, right? You know, and so Mark was basically like, don't screw this up, right? That, in a polite way, don't screw this up. And so, of course, I'm a little bit nervous, right? I'm a little bit, oh gosh, I gotta be, the stakes are high, very, very high. And so I was insanely well prepared, for those presentations, right? I rehearsed it over and over and over again. My wife was sick of me hearing it, right? I thought about all these contingencies and scenarios. I practiced it, and then I went up there this week to do this, and I think I did pretty well because I was very well prepared. But I think that when you're walking to Parker's office, you want to walk in extremely well prepared. You want to know your product, and you want to know as much as you can about her and her pain points. And the more well prepared you are, the more confident you're going to be giving that pitch to Parker, right? So being confident through being well prepared for that visit. Next is to be observant. So when you walk into Parker's office, what are some things that you might notice looking around that might be relevant talking points as you try to build rapport? Yeah?
Maybe family, hobbies that she likes to do.
So maybe pictures, or maybe sports memorabilia. Maybe there's a diploma on the wall. Maybe there's awards and recognition and things that she's earned. Right? That's going to be a big part of being able to kind of build rapport with someone and connect with them. Is just be observant, right? Look around the office and try to find things that are relevant talking points that you can kind of help with build rapport with Parker. Next is to be interested before you try to be interesting. So you be interested before you try to be interesting. So let me kind of tell you a common mistake that people make in this process is that a lot of people in sales, you want to talk about your product, right? You want to talk about why you're great and why Parker should be interested in you. And so I'm telling you, one of the most common mistakes a salesperson makes is if I were to walk into Parker's office and I start just talking, right? I start just talking at her and going into what I call blah, 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 right? Which is I walk into Parker's office and say, hey, Parker, my name's Brian Patillo, with Goosehead. Our company is the largest independent agency. We can shop around with over 80 different insurance providers to find you the best solution. We give great service, blah, 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 right? And then I talk at Parker without asking her questions, right? And that's, think about this in the dating world, right? If you were to do that on a date where you just talk about yourself the entire time, how's that going to go? Not great, right? You guys didn't know you were going to get some dating advice today, right? But it's not going to go great, right? You want to go in and ask questions, right? Be interested in the other person, right? Go in being interested before you try to be interesting, okay? So I want to go in asking Parker questions about her business, about who she's currently working with. And that's going to help you gather data so that you know how to then customize your pitch based on what she would be interested in, okay? And a lot of what I'm getting that from is from a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Has anyone read that book? So I could not more highly recommend that you guys read that book. That book is written almost 100 years ago, and the principles of it are as true today as they were back then. It's just basic principles of dealing with people, of trying to be interested before you try to be interesting, about how to get people to like you, listen to you, and trust you. And that book is a gold mine of data if you want to do that. Smile, show enthusiasm. Your prospect will never be as enthusiastic about what you're selling as you are. If you go in bored with what you're saying, then they're going to be bored listening to you, right? So be enthusiastic, smile as you do that. Be genuine, make a human connection. People have kind of a BS meter for salespeople sometimes, right? You think about when you walk through a mall and that mall kiosk person walks up to you and tries to sell you something. What do? I'm good, right? No, I'm good. Right? That's a lot of people's reactions sometimes, and you've got to cut through that by being genuine, right? Be a very genuine person and don't come across really salesy because people are going to be kind of have aversions to that. And then last is to be assertive, to ask for the business. I think this is one of the most valuable skills in sales. A lot of people in sales say, I think I'd be good at sales because I'm a people person. I'm a people person. I like people. I make friends. I can talk to anyone. Never met a stranger, etc. And that's good, right? That's really important. You have to be able to talk to people. But I will say this, is a huge part of sales is also the willingness to have a backbone and to actually ask directly for what you want. So a quick story, our number one agent, a guy named Brent Phillips. Brent Phillips has been with our company less than 2 years. He had been a retail manager at Target for a couple of years and then joined right after that. Brent is now literally the number one producer in a company out of 900 people, and he's less than 2 years into his career. To put it in perspective, too, in his second year with the company, he made, I think, over $130,000 too. On his third, he'll make over $200,000. So crushing it. And a story Brent shared with me recently is that he looked up a loan officer in one of these lists, and he noticed there was 4 different Goosehead agents that had gone into this loan officer's office, and every one of them made a note, something to the effect of do not go in here. This guy is grumpy, right? This is not going to go well. This guy does not like Goosehead, does not like insurance agents. Don't waste your time, basically. Well, Brent likes a challenge, right? He's competitive. He likes a challenge, and he had a brand new agent that was observing him. Which, by the way, too, if y'all ever want to observe one of our sales agents, we can help set that up. I know that's something that you guys asked to do. And so he had a new agent observing him, and Brent sees the notes on there, and he's like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going after it. Right? So he goes in the shop right away. The guy's like, I'm not interested, blah, blah, kind of same spiel. And Brent, is enthusiastic. People talk about Brent like a puppy dog. When an owner gets home, he's just happy and enthusiastic. And Brent tells the guy, he's like, you know what? Let me kind of help you solve your problem. Let me explain to you how our CRM, how our system works. If you send me one deal, your name doesn't even show up on our CRM anymore. So if you want no one else to come by, send me one deal, and no one else is going to come by. So this guy's like, fine, and sends him one deal. And Brent kills it on this client. And now that's one of Brent's number one loan officers. That's referring him every single deal. But it took a little bit of that assertiveness, right? That boldness. It wasn't, Brent couldn't just go in there and, I'm so sorry, we won't come back. It's like, hey, no, send me a deal. Send me a deal, let me show you what I can do, and no one will come back. And then now, he's his number one loan officer, right? Another one of our agents, Micah Taylor, walks into a shop. She's went to OSU and notices that these guys have a ping pong table, and they weren't taking her very seriously. And she looks at him and says, hey, if I beat you in ping pong, you guys have to send me all your deals. And the guy's like, fine. And so Micah goes and plays him, and apparently she's like a ping pong shark. And smokes him, and looks at him and is like, you said, right? And now that guy sends him all our deals, But sometimes it takes that just assertive, having a backbone, being willing to ask directly for what you want, mixed with likability, and that's a huge part of being successful in sales. So I could go on here and talk a lot more about our sales process. There it is. But I want to just very quickly mention a couple things about Goosehead career opportunities, and then I'll take any questions here that you guys have as well. Well, actually, just one really quick thing about understanding our business. We are not an insurance carrier. Okay, we don't provide home and auto insurance ourselves. We are what's called an independent agent, which basically means that we're not tied in to any one company. We shop around with dozens of different companies to find each individual client the best option for them. Okay, and we get paid a commission from the carriers we represent. So that's a huge part of our success, is we've been able to save people time, save people money, get people the right coverage, and get people unbiased advice because we're able to be an independent advisor that's still getting paid from the carrier. And that's a big part of why we've grown so fast, because that's drastically different than State Farm, Farmers, Allstate, Geico, or anyone else out there. It's a big part of our success. So we are actively hiring right now for several positions. 2 sales positions specifically. Our account executive position, which is kind of what I described, right? Where you're out there developing these loan officer relationships and realtor relationships, as well as we're hiring for a franchise sales position, where you're actually selling Goosehead franchises to prospective insurance agents like State Farm agents, Farmers, and Allstate agents. And so we're hiring in DFW, Austin, Houston, and Chicago. I want to mention just a couple real quick things about the opportunity, and kind of just give you a couple things to maybe think about as you're considering this career, as well as maybe any career that you might look at. So the first one is, I want to talk about company culture for a second. So who has heard that company culture matters a lot? Hopefully everyone, right? I totally agree with that. In fact, we got rated by Entrepreneur Magazine as the #1 company culture in America for large companies. So we care a lot about culture. Now I want to real quick define, what do I mean by culture and what do I not mean by culture? Okay? So I think a lot of people, I put these top 3 pictures here to kind of make fun of it. But a lot of people, as soon as they start talking about culture, they start saying, oh, this company's got this awesome culture. They've got beer fridges. You can bring your dog to work with you. There's free lunches and happy hours. And they start talking about all the kind of perks of the office and the office environment. And I think that, I don't think those are all like bad things. I just don't think that's what you're actually talking about when you talk about culture. What I believe culture is all about the quality of people that you're going to be around every day and the way those people interact with each other. Right? So you think about that. If you get plugged into a sales floor and all the people around you are super smart, super driven, talented salespeople, high integrity, they're great people, you think you're going to learn from them? You think they're going to rub off on you? Right? And that's what we believe, is that A players want to be around other A players. If you're really driven, you want to be around other really driven people. So I want to encourage you, when you're evaluating the culture of a company, don't ask yourself, do I like that they have a slide at the office? Ask yourself, do I like the people I work around? And do I think I'm going to be a better professional because I sit around those people? Okay, so culture of excellence. 2 I want to mention very briefly is professional growth opportunities. I'll just tell one of these stories for the sake of time, but Drew Rogas is an Aggie, class of 2014. Drew has had an incredibly fast-tracked sales career with us and a leadership career with us. And so you think about, Drew was here for 1 year before he got promoted to sales manager. So 1 year, sales manager. That second year with the company, started managing a sales team of 4 people, and he had the most successful sales team in the company. And so we started growing his team to 6, to 8, to 10, to 12. And started growing that, and then he, on his 3rd year with the company, he became our Woodlands office head. So he runs our Woodlands office. He now runs 3 different teams in that office. He has, I think, 40 people in that office, and is on a very, very, very fast-track leadership path. Put it in perspective, Drew in his 2nd year out of A&M made over 150 grand. His 3rd year made over 200 grand as well. So the message I want to give here is that if you want to have a fast-track professional career, find a company that is rapidly growing and that believes in promoting from within, right? Promoting from within, because that's going to lead to fast-track careers. And then last thing I want to mention very briefly is residual income. So one of the best things about being in the insurance business is that when you sell an insurance policy, you get paid on that policy every single time that policy renews, right? So over and over again, you're constantly building up your book of business, which over time leads to really attractive income opportunities. And so the message I want to give here is that when you're comparing compensation opportunities, I want to encourage you, don't just look at year 1 compensation. Look 5 years out. Look at the trajectory you're going to be on, and I would compare where am I going to be 5 years in to different career paths. So what that looks like at Goosehead, our average agents year 1 make 51 grand, top 10% make 75. By year 2, average is 63, top 10% 97. Goes year 3, 77 and 116, year 4, 94 and 185. Year 5, the average agent makes 113,000, top 10% makes $210,000. And so over time, you can create really attractive income for yourself because of the residual nature of the economics, but it's not a overnight thing. So I would encourage you as you compare career opportunities to look 5 years in, don't just look 1 year in. So a couple next steps, if you are interested in a career opportunity, one, and I'm going to be at that lunch today. Have you guys talked about that yet? So
12:30 to 09.
12:30 to 09. I would love to connect with you guys. If you're interested in learning more, if there's just, even if you're not interested in Goosehead, if I can just give you advice, interview advice, sales advice, career advice, I would love to talk with you at that lunch today.
Free birds tacos.
Free birds, all right, we're stepping it up versus like Jason's Deli.
Yeah.
I like it. But also, we are going to be at the, I think the Ad Career Fair. Is that next week? Is that right?
Yeah.
We're going to have to put it on here. But the Ad Career Fair next Thursday. The Business Career Fair is September 25th and 26th, which you guys are welcome to attend. We'd love to meet you guys there. If you're interested in interviewing, apply on Hire Aggies. And then also, one last thing is we have a really cool opportunity on November 8th that we call an externship. What it is it's an all-day opportunity at our headquarters in Westlake. So with all of our schools, we have 50 students total that we accept for this position. But it's a one-day externship where you get to spend the entire day at headquarters. You'll get to hear from our executive team, including our CEO. You'll get to learn sales from one of our top sales leaders. You'll actually get to do some sales role plays, observe salespeople. You'll get to dive into our business model to really understand what a day in the life of a sales agent is like. And so externship November 8th, if you're interested in that, all you need to do is just email your resume to careers@goosehead.com and then just let them know that you're interested in the externship opportunity, and then we'll be letting you know the steps in the process from there. But that's the first step, is email your resume to careers@goosehead.com. So with that, I think I have like 5 minutes left. I wanted to leave as much time as we could, but what questions can I answer for you guys? Yeah?
I had a question. What do you look for in an employee, and how do you select someone? Like, what's the process?
Yeah. So the first step in the process is kind of a resume screen, and/or talk at the career fair and see if you're going to be a good fit for a first round interview. We then have 2 first round interviews, or kind of 2 interviews on the same day, which then goes to final round interviews, which will have 4 interviews at our headquarters, and then we make a decision from there. So it's basically 6 interviews that we make the decision from. So in terms of what we look for, I would say probably 3 main things I would say is what we're looking for. The first is related to what I'll call kind of work ethic and grit, basically, right? So for example, we love to see people that worked throughout school. It's not a deal breaker if you didn't, but we love seeing that. If you're working 20, 30 hours a week and going to school, it shows work ethic. If not, that you're really involved in campus or doing sports or that you manage a heavy workload. We also love to see just that mental toughness and grit. If you're able to show that, for example, if you paid your own way through school, if you're overcome adversity, we love to see things like that. So I'd say that's kind of one component. We do have a minimum GPA requirement of 3.0. We want to see that you had success academically. So 3.0 is something we look at. And I would say the other piece is kind of personality. Kind of personality fit and kind of strengths fit. And I would say specifically on that, the combination of basically likability and assertiveness, right? We want to see that you're a likable person, easy to connect with, easy to talk to, but also that you're someone that is confident, and that willing to be assertive. And we can picture you walking into Parker's office, and being able to get her to quickly like you and trust you and refer a client over to you. So I would say kind of personality, work ethic, and then kind of GPA. Kind of be the three factors that we're going to typically look at. Questions? Yep.
When you're preparing to go visit Parker, you look her up on LinkedIn. Do you think it's weird for her to get the notification that Brian Patillo just
viewed my profile? No, I actually connect with her. Yeah, I connect with her. That's very normal in the business world. Sometimes when people are about to interview with me, they'll connect with me proactively on LinkedIn. I would actually connect with Parker. Even before I reach out to her, I'd have no problem connecting with her on there. If you are worried about that, you can, I think, set a privacy setting where it doesn't show that. But I wouldn't overly worry about that. LinkedIn's very much a professional thing. It's not, you're not creeping on people on LinkedIn. Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
When you said ask for business, have that backbone, is it always going to be hey, let's make this deal, or is it be how can I what do I need to do for you to get my business?
Yeah, more the latter, right? It's a lot of times just saying hey, I would love to earn your business. What can I do, to earn your business? And that's part, I didn't have time to get into this, but a huge part of when we pitch Parker is all about what we call we want to be a partner, not a vendor. Meaning we want to help her grow her business. And so we talk about, we want to help introduce her to realtors. We want to help sponsor her events. There's a huge component to our value pitch that's all based on serving her needs, not based on how can she help me. So that's a big part is we want to serve her and we want to ask her, hey, I would love to earn your business. What can I do to earn your business? But the willingness to ask that is the assertive piece. But you're not just saying, hey, give me a deal, right? You got to be likable. You got to do it in a likable way, but you got to be willing to ask for the business. Yep.
So after you reach, assuming we reach the goal of becoming number one in the industry, what would you say is another goal to become after that?
Yeah. And I think it's an important distinction. As we become number one, we passionately believe that we are serving our clients better than anyone else. So I would say it's not just about, we want to be number one. It's that we want to be number one because we want to win for our clients, right? We want to win as a result of our clients. But to put it in perspective, the industry is $330 billion, right? Currently, we're at $600 million. State Farm is at $60 billion. So even if we continue on as 40% growth a year, we're still probably 10, 15 years out, from taking out State Farm. And so it's hard to even think beyond that. At this point, I would say eventually our goal is to own this industry, to have 70, 80% market share with $330 billion business, potentially expand to other lines of business, expand internationally. But we're talking about a long ways down the road because that's just not even anywhere close. We're not even close to out of runway on our current trajectory.
Did you mention your NPR?
In our Net Promoter Score, which is a measure of client loyalty, let me kind of real quick put it in perspective. Typically, if you're in the 60s on Net Promoter Score, you're industry leading. Apple and Amazon are both in the 60s on Net Promoter Score. If you're in the 70s on Net Promoter Score, then you are globally recognized for your service. So Ritz-Carlton is in the 70s, USAA is in the 70s. Anyone have USAA? It's a great service, right? USAA is an awesome service. We have a 90 Net Promoter Score. Right? A 90 Net Promoter Score. That's literally the best of any company that we are aware of in the public domain. And what that means is that our clients absolutely love us because we're able to save them time, save them money. Our service team is able to be at their fingers anytime they need them. So that's not only do we bring on more new business than anyone else, but we have the highest retention rates of our clients of anyone in the industry as well.
So do you consider your clients the loan officers or the people that are buying?
Kind of both, right? So as an account executive, you basically have two jobs. Part of your job is out of the office, developing loan officers and getting them to refer you business. But you're also the one that's talking to those clients, selling them the policies and closing it out. So I would say they're kind of both your clients. But I'll say this, is the client-facing part of the sale is the easiest part of the sale, right? You think about it, you're talking to someone that's referred over to you, you're selling them a product they legally are required to buy, and you have the best coverage, the best price. So if you can't close that, you should not be in sales, right? Sales is a bad career path for you. Sure, there's another path. That is not a hard sale, but getting these loan officers to like you, to trust you, to refer their clients over to you, that's what takes a lot more salesmanship.
One more question.
Yeah. Go for it.
Last question.
So, you talk about Goosehead, you imagine you go to the best agent, the best coverage, best price.
Yep.
So after, say I go to Park's office and as a salesperson, she's what happens?
Yeah, so Parker gives me a name and number and says, this person's closing on a home next month. I call that client up, I introduce myself, we set up on an insurance policy and get it all done, and then we are that person's agent throughout the life cycle of that policy. So anytime they need anything, they call us. We have a service team that does that, where they handle all of those things in-house, basically. So, good question.
Oh, there's so much more you can tell us. Thank you so much for that, Brian.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We have t-shirts as well. Got a t-shirt.
Hey, it's got t-shirts up there as well, okay? Remember lunch today.